Okay, moving on, we're going to hear from a brand new IAMA member and a new organization, and they're going to share with us how AngelOne came to be in existence. Judd Wickwire and Randy Ferguson are going to be sharing with us. You got that, Ferguson? Well, Randy and I call each other brother, but we're only brothers in the Lord. But looking forward to hearing from Judd and Randy.
Well, I guess we don't even know what time of day it is, but welcome to the IAMA conference, wherever you are. I guess the whole idea of having it remotely in some ways opens up this opportunity for a lot more people to see and attend this. So I guess let's be thankful and grateful for that. And thank you to the IAMA leadership for allowing this. My name is Judd Wickwire, and this is Randy Ferguson. With me, we represent AngelOne Support Services, and we are new members of IAMA, and we are looking forward to this introduction and just tell you a little bit about how AngelOne started, what it's about, and what we do to support missions. So I'll start with the story of how, remember, we're called AngelOne, but it started with a couple in Nicaragua who were in the country. Norman is a mission pilot. He's got pilot experience, and they were unexpectedly presented with a really unique opportunity for a mission aviation project. And it started out in one of the government offices there where the gentleman pulled out a map and said, look, we have this enormous area on the coast that's not served. We really need an airplane here. And Norman's standing there and they're looking at the map together, and there isn't, the only airstrip is the city in the middle on the coast where the hospital is. None of these communities have an airstrip, not even one of them. So Norman says, well, where's the airstrips? And he says, well, there aren't any. So I'm not sure what he was thinking when he was talking about the airplane and that, but within moments, someone in that conversation said float plane. And from that moment forward, that became Miracle Air in Nicaragua. And so here we had this couple, the Hansons, were presented with this opportunity. They had no idea what it was going to look like, but they immediately had this invitation from the government. You need to understand that Norman and Nancy are well versed in the Nicaraguan culture. Nancy is actually a Nicaraguan national, was born there, grew up in Canada, but returned there. And so they really understand the culture. People have a lot of contacts, good relationships there, which is the foundation of missions, as we all know. I mean, if you're going to do something in a country, if you don't have relationships to work to build on, it's a long uphill battle. So they already had that. So they said, okay, well, this looks like something we should check out. They were immediately given introductions, letters of introduction to go into these communities. Even that alone, as many of you know, is a very, very difficult thing to get. And they had that right out of the gate. So they went and they looked at the opportunities. They took boats up to these villages. And I think within a couple of days, they actually came up with the name Miracle Air, which I think is an amazing name for a ministry. It's fantastic. And so they saw these villages, talked to the people, took all sorts of affirmative action, made no promises, but they had no resources whatsoever. They didn't have a vehicle. They didn't have an airplane. They didn't have any of the things that it takes to make a mission aviation project. But they still said yes to doing that first step. And so they reached out to myself and to Randy and some of us here in Canada that had some different background and history in mission aviation, and that we knew them well. And Curtis Letniak, who I work for, and we just started providing the help. And this is kind of an interesting thing too, is this was in early 2020, and as this was happening, COVID was starting to show itself and be revealed as going to be a real problem. And I was actually had plans to be going to Cambodia, and because of COVID, that was all suddenly canceled, but travel to Central America was still a viable option. So I got on a plane and went down and spent a week with Hansons down there and looking at the opportunities, looking for a place to do a base. And again, this is still with no resources. We didn't know what, I have to give Norman and Nancy credit for seizing the dream that God put on their heart that far, far exceeded anything that was within their capability to do. And of course, that is what having a God-sized dream is all about. And we just really applaud them for that. And so from there, it rapidly developed. We immediately recognized the floatplane was important, and there were a number of supporters that threw their support behind the Hansons, went with their vision. And from here, this is where it started to look to develop into where AngelOne that we're introducing to you today. And we basically, AngelOne was formed in response to the need that Miracle Air presented. And there were a number of us that recognized that the unique opportunity it was presented by an on-the-ground family who knew what the mission needs were, knew a lot of what it would take to do it physically, but with no resources to do it, but not wanting to come back to Canada or the US, form a charity and start, fundraising is always a part of it, but a lot of the infrastructure that they needed was going to take so much time away from their focus and mission there in Nicaragua. So they, so we started offering to do that for them in a lot of different ways. But the first thing that we wanted was safety, and that's, Randy has a long history in safety in aviation, and some of you know Randy from audits. Where'd you do the audit with?
We did Ecuador and then Nicaragua and.
Oh, that's right. You did the audit in Nicaragua too. Yeah. So you'd actually been to Nicaragua. Randy even speaks Spanish, so we're looking forward to Randy getting down there. But safety obviously became the core aspect of supporting a mission aviation project, and so we thought, well, let's form AngelOne to provide a lot of these oversight services to a small mission organization to allow them to retain their vision, to retain their dream, to retain their ownership of their calling, and to stay focused on the job instead of having to spend a lot of time putting together the infrastructure to make it happen and lose that focus and lose that energy of the launch. And so we're sitting here in January of 2021, less than a year from when this was first started. I think we used the word around board meeting the other day, unprecedented quite a few times. This has happened so quickly. It's just shocking to see. Maybe shocking is not the right word, but when you take on a God-sized dream and surrender yourself to that, how quickly God can act. And I think we so often don't do that enough, Randy. So we talked about, of course, I want to talk about the name. So we named it AngelOne after some discussion. And Randy, we used the text Revelation 14:6.
Yes. And so why would a group of people take on a project like this? And so Revelation 14:6. Then I saw another angel flying directly overhead with an eternal gospel to proclaim to those who dwell on earth, to every nation and tribe and language and people. So, and then verse 8 says the second angel. So verse 6 is the first angel. So that's where the name AngelOne came from. And it's amazing. It's actually miraculous, because when I think of this, here's a couple that surrendered to God and said, like Peter in the boat in the storm on the sea, and Jesus is walking across the water, and this couple comes, says, yeah, God, we'll step out of the boat. And their faith in doing this into all kinds of fear and unknown just inspired a bunch of us, and started saying, how can we help you? How can we help you? And so from this verse and from the name AngelOne, the following support services started to come together.
Right. So we recognized in aviation safety was the first step. So we set AngelOne up as basically a membership ministry. So it's an umbrella support for Miracle Air and other ministries like it. But safety is number one. So if you're going to be a member of AngelOne, you have to accept the safety requirements, which are a lot like Mission Safety International. As a matter of fact, MSI has been a much part of how we set that up, which again is why we're so excited to be a part of IAMA and MSI, because we're talking about providing these support, these areas of support to Miracle Air, but we're not doing them all ourselves. We're utilizing other resources, so we're being kind of a clearinghouse to allow them access to as many resources as possible with as little effort on their part as far as having to have a broad presence anywhere. They can stay focused on their ministry. And then of course we look, what are the other things that they need to be sustainable? And of course the financial line for that. So the charity channel, as we describe it, so that's, from where you can accept donations and track donations and take care of your accounting. And so that's another level of service that AngelOne provides. And there's of course, there's a cost of these services to the ministry, but we're trying to offer them so efficiently that it shouldn't cost them any more than it would cost them if they were trying to build this up themselves, maybe even less if they're looking at starting something from the ground up. So yeah, safety is a foundation, finances, and then also the other areas that help to maintain healthy, thriving and sustainable mission aviation projects. And of course, a lot of that, as all you know, is relationships, interpersonal relationships, team dynamics. And so we provide help with interviewing and recruiting and even counseling. Like the one team we actually put together with a counselor here recently to help them work through some of their team dynamics, because you're putting, any of you who've been in missions know, even do their long-term, the relationships in the field can make or break. I mean, it could be a huge challenge or a huge benefit, and there's a lot of times you need some outside help to work through those things. I mean, some of those things are far beyond our ability to manage ourselves.
And so this putting them together in counseling and with a counselor and stuff is all done as preemptive to see whether the dynamics and personalities all work together
before they get there, and give them the tools to work through those, and also even sustainability. So we're looking at being able to send support people down to help the teams in the field. They can have their retreats there. Many of you are probably already doing these things. So, but it's not. None of this is really new. It's just a matter of consolidating it into a support service for a smaller ministry, and allowing this ministry, allowing the Hansons to maintain their identity, to maintain the direction and course of their ministry, the way that their vision has called them to do it, and to build their teams in the way that they want, whether they're their pilots or their other parts of their team. Leave that control to them. Give them some resources to help them to do it better, but still let them keep that ownership and identity as part of that. So I do want to tell you a little about the airplane, because we all want to talk about airplanes.
Yeah.
So I don't want to overlook that. So, early in this process, we started seeing the very clear similarities to Samaritan Aviation in Papua New Guinea. And early, we reached out to Mark Palm and Brian Yeager and had some conversations with them. They were super helpful with just a lot of guidance on, particularly around float planes. And of course, they operate 206s on amphib floats. We ended up with a Bush Hawk, manufactured by Found, and some of you may have seen or heard of them, but they're a little bit of a rare bird. They're built in Canada. They were built early. They had a run of them. They built in the 50s, and then they ceased production and started building them again in the late 90s into about 2005 or 5-7, somewhere in there. They built about 60 of the Bush Hawk XP in Ontario. They're kind of a little known airplane, but we started looking into that and realized this was really just a super functional airplane. It has the capacity of a 206, pretty comparable, but the functionality of a Beaver. It's got big doors in the back, and we're looking at the egress options on floats and being able to load from both sides of the airplane. The doors were a big factor in that. It has a carry through spar, so there's no strut on the wing, which it makes it just that much easier for access in and out, especially when you're getting in from the side. And a relatively new airplane. This one was built in 2005. It only had 650 hours when we bought it. No, 600 hours when we bought it, I think. And so just having something that's pristine to start with, we didn't have to rebuild it. It came that way. It's kind of a unique, it's almost like buying a new airplane in a way. So we're really excited to be able to put an airplane into service that is in pristine condition, and just very, very mission suited airplane. And we're actually hoping to get a second one similar to that, or identical if possible. Knowing that to be sustainable and long term, you need to have two airplanes there. So so that airplane is now ready to go into service. And just a quick update from the Hansons, they're actually in Nicaragua right now, and should be launching that program in Nicaragua very, very soon. And so from the perspective of we've talked a lot about Miracle Air, and I hope we don't confuse things with that, because AngelOne is the ministry that's a member of IAMA, and that's who we're representing. But Miracle Air is the story, and we hope it's the first of many stories as we develop and grow Miracle Air to provide other ministries or other visionaries like the Hansons the opportunity to grow a ministry from the ground up, with resources from the outside to make that happen faster and more efficiently, I think, is really what we're after.
So one thing I think that we missed in this whole conversation is there's no runways. But what we didn't say was there's miles and miles and miles of rivers.
You overlooked that, didn't we? Yes.
So that's the reason a float plane works there. And it also happens this Bush Hawk is amphibious. So it's wheeled floats. So can work well for both for landing close to a hospital or medical services if needed, and can make it to many, many towns and villages that have no road access and only water access.
Yeah, and I also just want to shout out to Aeroset Floats too. We took the airplane down to them, and they worked through some upgrades to the gear, and also told us a lot about. We kind of envisioned that the floats in the landing gear were, fragile, that front gear looks like it. But the team at Aeroset, they're insistent that is a very, very durable, tough configuration, and that we shouldn't be afraid of landing on gravel if we need to with the airplane. So, but Aeroset has been great. They're very mission oriented, and we appreciate their support to getting here too. All right. Well, thank you for the opportunity to share, and we look forward to hearing from everyone else at the conference here as well. God bless you all.
Hey, thank you, guys. So Judd and Randy, appreciate that update on AngelOne. So let's go ahead and take a 15-minute break here, get your legs stretched, and do anything else you need to do. I'm getting a cup of coffee, and then we'll come back and continue with Scott and Isabel.